Lance Armstrong, the professional cyclist and 7 times the winner of the Tour de France, was recently interviewed by Oprah Winfrey. And in the interview, he admitted to every allegation of using performance-enhancing drugs. At one point, Armstrong spoke about the environment surrounding the sport of professional cycling. He told Oprah Winfrey, "I didn't invent the culture, but I didn't do anything to stop it." Okay. I didn't invent the culture, but I didn't do anything to stop it either. Actually, Friday was the 40th annual March for Life down in Washington, D.C. 500,000 people, mostly young people, who didn't invent the culture of death, tried to stop it. We say that you and I were born into a culture of death. You and I were baptized into a culture of life. Like, the church is the culture of life in the midst of a culture of death. Okay? And the truth is, the culture of death lurks within each one of us. Okay? The culture of death is sin. The culture of life is God's life. It's the life of grace. Okay? So you and I were born into a culture we didn't invent. That culture goes back to the beginning of time. But on the cross, we say that Jesus Christ reversed the momentum of Eden from a culture of death to a culture of life. Okay? And you and I have that opportunity to help to reverse the momentum of the culture. People seem to understand it's a time of crises, but crises are simply times for heroes, for the greatest lovers of all. They're times for saints. We attended a youth rally at the University of Maryland, College Park, this Friday, and the priest who gave the homily told of a young relative of his who was going out with a boy from Cuba. She became pregnant, and when she told her boyfriend, he told her to get an abortion. She agreed to go if he would drive her to the clinic. They both went in. The girl spoke Spanish, and she said to the woman at the clinic that he wants me to have an abortion, but I don't want one. Take me in, but don't touch me. Afterward, her boyfriend drove her home, and she told him she would never see him again. And 6 months later, she gave birth to a little girl. And that girl was now 12 years old, and that girl attended the rally at University of Maryland in College Park on Friday. Bishop Jenke of Peoria, Illinois says, "The days in which we live now require heroic Catholicism, not casual Catholicism. We can no longer be Catholics by accident, but instead Catholics by conviction." The days in which we live now require heroic Catholicism, not casual Catholicism. We can no longer be Catholics by accident, but instead Catholics by conviction. It seems like the more the crisis advances, the more the middle tends to evaporate. Like, growing up, the middle evaporates very quickly. You have to be for or against. And like there's a saying in Texas that goes, the only thing in the middle of the road are yellow lines and dead armadillos. Okay? The only thing in the middle of the road are yellow lines, dead armadillos. The point, it's not a place you want to be, okay, in the middle of the road. Okay? And so, like, we say we all live in this culture that we did not invent. We may have contributed to it, but we also belong to a church that wants to reverse that momentum, to transform the culture. Okay? And the world ultimately is simply God's saint-making machine. Okay? The world is here to transform us, to make us saints. Maybe one, when I do get to talk to young people, I always like to tell them that, like, the respect for life, the foundation of respect for life is respect for the act which transmits human life. There's kind of a domino effect. When we lose respect for the act which transmits human life, well, the next victim is respect for life itself. Okay? So, like, young people, by living that virtue of chastity, actually married people, religious priests, by living the virtue of chastity, give a foundation for the culture of life to flourish. So we pray that we might be more and more transformed by God's grace, okay, to be part of that culture of life, okay, a foundation on which God can build, like we say, a civilization of love and that culture of life. Ultimately, the world will transfigure us with the help of God's grace.